Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Burton Burger Podcast, episode 208. We got a special one for you. We have our first guest of the new year, of the new season, Mr. Ash from the Explanation Point org series. Ash, how are you doing today, man?
Hey, Bird. Hey, Burger. Very nice to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Excited
Awesome.
to have you here. So I want to get the elephant out of the room right away. Bert and I are sick as shit. So if we sound like we have a big old bullfrog in our throats, that's why. I don't know. We're not even like in the same state. And somehow like Bert says I got him sick through the stream. We were streaming last week. On the podcast. So just ignore us as we sound like old men, but Ash will sound beautiful as always. So, Ash, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the I want to say specs. I'm still in org mode. To the audience members and tell them a little bit about your org.
Sure. I think Burger's probably been talking about his Survivor org experience in some of the past podcasts. So I'm the host of one of the orgs Burger has played in. I'm the host of the Exclamation Point series. It's been running for almost 20 years now. We do mainly Survivor orgs. So what an org is, it stands for Online Reality Game. People sign up and then they play online as if they are playing on Survivor Island. So you vote each other out, you compete in challenges, and there's a winner at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty straightforward. And yeah, we just finished up yours. We did the award ceremony last night, but that org finished up roughly a month ago or so from there. And definitely have had my fair share of opinions on it. If you want to check out the previous episodes, Ash, go ahead. I wouldn't recommend it, but especially because it's your baby. But Bert gets pretty nasty, so he has a mouth on him. So let's talk about it. So first of all, 20 years of running orgs. I just found out what a fucking org is last year. And here you are doing it for 2 decades. Tell us about this journey and how it all kind of started.
It's kind of wild if you think about it. It doesn't feel like 20 years. So I mean, I'm 33. So I started this when I was 14.
Wow.
It's like pretty much a childhood pastime that's become this, 20-year journey. It's pretty wild. So how it started, it was just like Survivor was on air many years ago, like more than 20 years ago. I watched it, I was into it. There were these online forums. Back then, everyone who watched the show was mostly pretty young, people who were on the internet and watching the show and playing these games. So that was around the rough age group of people you would expect playing orgs. It was a lot younger. Now you have a lot more of a diverse audience and pool of players. So that's good. But it used to be on forums. So you had these like online message boards and you would play on these forums. It was really old school. And then people would talk with AOL Instant Messenger or Skype Messenger. And then you would vote people out and, part of it used to be by emails because there wasn't like an online messaging system that was inbuilt into like something like Discord, right? So people would submit their votes to the host by email, and then the host would post them, and then you have a winner at the end of the whole thing. So a lot different, with technology. Yeah, it's pretty wild when you think about it. But it was a lot of fun, and it was something I kind of grew up with. I grew up playing with them. Then I started hosting them on my own, and I did keep at it throughout. Most of my life. I did take a few breaks here and there for school and for work, like a couple years. I stopped it sometime around 2018, and then COVID happened, and then I decided why not go back to it. And there was a lot of like a pretty strong demand for Survivor orgs at the time because people were in lockdown and people wanted something to do. So I started that back up on Discord, and then got the old crew back, got a lot more new players to try things out on, and then it kind of just evolved back again from there. So now here we are.
Yeah. So when you took a break, where were you at in your seasons? Because we just finished up 41. So where were you at before, when right around you took a break?
Right. So I stopped at Survivor 31. So 30 and 31 were meant to be like the capstone. So it was 2 pair seasons that were running at the same time. So this was Second Chance. It was based on Survivor Cambodia Second Chance, right? That was around the time that it aired too. And then there were 2 seasons at the same time. One was Survivor Cambodia, which was 31, and Survivor Khao Rong, which was 30. And so these were 2 pair seasons. You had 40 players, 20 on each season. But the twist was that some of the rounds, if you got voted out of one season, there was a chance you could come back, but into the other season.
Okay, interesting. It's like a different game.
Yeah. So this was like 2 games running at the same time with pretty much all the all-stars from the past 40 seasons, but people who hadn't won yet, and then just duking it out. And that was meant to be like the end of that era. And I thought that was the end of orgs for me. But then the pandemic happened, and so I decided to revive it.
So were you starting to miss them a little bit? You're like, I don't know. I mean, I thought I'd be happy to be done with them, but kind of missing them.
I guess I did. I must have missed it because I'm back and I'm still doing it.
Back.
So yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
probably, I was doing it a lot less intensity as I compared to now. So I guess on some level I must have missed it. I do enjoy hosting it, so I can't deny that. It's a lot of fun. I guess I do miss it.
Yeah, no, I mean, they are a lot of fun. Bert and I have been in just a couple. We're pretty big noobs when it comes to the org phase. I've been in like 3 or 4, and I think Bert's been in 2. So
2 now,
we're babies with it. And so when we came across somebody that has been doing it for 20 years, and you have over 40 seasons of just Survivor, not even including all of the other ones that you run, it kind of all lined up. Plus you have your own podcast as well, which is really cool, something I wasn't familiar with until after I made it to the jury. And you're like, yo, you want to be on a pod? And I'm like,
that's pretty new. Yeah, we just started that pretty recently.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's only been running for 2 or 3 seasons now. We started it with Winners at War, which was Survivor 40, the last one that we did before your season, Burger. And I mean, with like an all winners cast, it's just like a lot of interest in postseason content and getting to know like the players. So that's something we did. Ray, or Nanu, who's one of our alumni, was really keen to be like the coordinator for the podcast. So I was like, you know what, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. And we used to do like written interviews, but I guess it was a lot more fun doing these podcasts.
Yeah.
But it's also a lot of work trying to like organize all these podcasts. For Winners at War, we did like long podcasts, like an hour.
Sure.
It was never meant to run that long. It was meant to be like a 20-minute thing, but then you just start talking, and then there's like lots of content to cover. But for Survivor 41, we tried to keep it as punchy and short as possible because not everyone's going to listen to an hour-long podcast for like that releases like once every couple of days. So we wanted to keep it short. Yeah.
No, and it was cool, and I was on there. I was on there for an episode with another contestant, and if you guys want to check that out, Bert can throw it in the descriptions as well to see kind of how not to run a podcast. I'm kidding. Keep listening to our podcast then, lol. But no, I mean, it was cool because you guys, both you and Nanu, or however you say it, like have different roles in that podcast form. And and it was just cool to see that, and then how you guys could kind of not control a conversation, but definitely push it down a certain area that you want it to go to, where you want to give the cast the freedom to chat about what they want to, but also you want to make it like short, sweet, and concise too, which is something that I don't do very well. Maybe it's because we have over 200 episodes here and I could just talk forever. But no, it was a lot of fun. And I know I was talking to Dan, one of the other contestants in that Oregon. He was saying something like the final 3 got an episode. So I was like, that's all I want. Like, that's literally all I want, is just to make it the final 3 to be on their pod. That'd be so fucking cool. And I didn't make it to final 3, and then next thing I know, Ash is hitting me up saying, "Yo, want to do a podcast?" I'm like, I could have quit so long ago, and I was all this trauma and PTSD from this org.
You could have checked, Burger. You could have checked. I do it with everybody, but for some seasons, like the Traders, we just do it with the finalists or the winners, and then for Survivor, we try to do it with everybody. Traders, just too many people, and they're not in the game for a long enough of time. So
seriously,
just easier. Yeah.
Well, also, Ash, believe it or not, I don't know if you noticed, I do have a co-host. To this show. He gets very shy around boys he likes.
Big time.
So if you ever want to like chime in, Bert, and talk to our friend here, go right ahead. I mean, I'm guessing you were outside smoking a cigarette or something while.
Yeah, I know. I just gotta. I gotta wave it out of the room. Yeah.
Yeah. He hits record Greg and then he leaves.
No. I was gonna say. So you have obviously vastly more experience from running the org, but have you really played as much?
I did start out playing orgs. I mean, before you kind of have to play an org before you host an org. I think, so you know what like a player thinks and experiences. And then I played for like a good few years. Played on and off. Returned for like any all-star type seasons. I liked. Well, Survivor orgs are fun, but they also take a lot of time because you have to like socialize, and it's like a nonstop type of experience. I started doing more like Amazing Race orgs for a period of time, and then once work started, I kind of stopped doing that. But then again, during the pandemic, I picked it up again. That's really what made me go back to hosting orgs, because in the pandemic, I played an org, and then I was like, "Oh, you know what? I can do this again. This is fun." So I did. Yeah. So I do play. I did play.
Were you like? Was it amongst your personality? Did you try to kind of play outside of your personality a little bit? What kind of contestant were you? And if you could compare yourself to a contestant, that'd be cool. I mean, Bert knows 3 of them.
Oh, that's hard. I'm not. I don't know if I can do that. I've always thought about what player I'm most like, but I don't really have an answer. But honestly, I'm a challenge beast type. Most of the games I win, it's usually following a similar type of trajectory where I play at the start, I lie low, and then by merge, I have like enough relationships, enough allies. It goes into like one of 2 directions. One is that I'm in the majority alliance and I have a strong alliance, and then I win challenges at the end, and then the jury likes me enough and I win. Or the second route I take is that I'm on the minority, and then I have to like battle it out in challenges, and then I try to like ace all the challenges I play in. That's usually what happens. But I know these things are like a lot of fun, but also like a lot mentally. I'm like super competitive, so I decided at some point that it was better for me to not play too many orgs. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Bert, you got anything to say about that? I remember you had a whole camping trip that was ruined by that.
Oh no.
I mean,
I've been there.
I just remember I tried to, like, in one of the interview processes, that's kind of how I tried to sell myself. Because I'm looking back at it, I play like an hour of puzzles every night before I go to bed, just like naturally, not even like as a prep for orgs or anything, but like I just always
it's in his blood.
Yeah, it's just in my blood, doing that kind of puzzly stuff. So I'm like, man, I'm just gonna whoop ass on this stuff. Yeah. So that's how I whatever. I had to compare myself to a player, and I'm like, oh, I'd be like Carson from season.
Okay.
Whatever, like last season. Yeah. And then I go in there and I'm just eating it all season.
Really?
It was rough. Yeah. It was weird. I think a lot of it is like, I don't know. Some of it was a little bit more like, I don't know. I'd attack it from the wrong angle kind of stuff. Like, some of these, they're not always puzzles. But
I want you to know he was a GOAT.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, he was a go. Ash is like, he's not sure if he should laugh or not. He's like, is Burger being mean right now or what? But he was one of the ones that wouldn't respond to people just because he was quote unquote too busy. And I'm like, then why the fuck did you even sign up for an org dance? And he got dragged all the way to the end, kind of like a Philip Shepard and Boston Rob from 22. And like Boston Rob or like Philip Shepard, he did get some votes at the end, but he got plowed outside of that. So I just, before you think you're talking to an expert, Bert's very good at gaslighting.
Talking myself off,
I was just about to ask you wanted to play, but okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, he'll say but he's not interested.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first org was a lot more fun. The second one, I mean, I did significantly worse. I got blindsided like super hard early on because I don't know, it was weird. I just like wasn't. Yeah, I just like didn't get in the right clicks.
I mean, that's just how it is, right? Like,
that sounds like Survivor, Bert. So
I know. I'm like, damn. I just got. I was just given the business. It was tough. It's tough, but no, it's a ton of fun. But
so we can let's talk a little bit about 41. Bert, you were not. I only played. Bert did not play in this. Did you have any questions or anything as a spectator, or anything like that?
I wasn't invited to this one for some reason. Burger went on a string of like.
I went AWOL, dude.
How many? He was like. It was like 2 or 3 orgs in a row he went on, and he's just like, I'll just invite you guys when I get far, because it's just like, you never really know.
He got pretty far, though. He got far.
Yeah, well, once I started getting far, I'm like, maybe he's bad juju. So then I was like, you stay out of this.
Yeah.
But so what ended up happening is I went on a different org and got out right away with an idol in my pocket, and I was like, fuck this, I was cooking, and I wasn't ready to be done yet. So then I'm like frantically looking for Reddit because I'm like, I'm on this org high, I gotta fucking find one quickly. And I really wanted to be on the first season of an org. I thought that would just be cool as their first ever season. And I guess I threw out all my values out the fucking window because I went and applied for one that had 41 seasons, which is drastically more than any other org I've ever seen. So I went and I applied for this one, and I know I applied to this one like pretty late, I believe, like on the Reddit post or something. You were saying like we extended the deadline or something like that. So I was like, shit, I mean, 41, man. I mean, and they've been doing it for 20 years. That's got to be a pretty popular org to be a part of. And so I applied there, and then I didn't want to say to our fans of the podcast and Bert, like, okay, come on in this one, and then I fucking get voted out the third overall or something.
Yeah.
God damn it! Like,
don't jinx it, right? Yeah.
So then I was like, I'll let you know when you can join, and then I just kept doing well. I'm like, yeah, stay away.
That makes sense.
How to ride it?
You're kind of on the first season, Burger. You drop the 4, keep the 1. So it's meant to be a whole
new era too.
Kind of,
yeah, it was a new era. So it ended up working out all right. But yeah, okay. So I'm glad that is what you meant, Bert, by you weren't invited, because I was gonna be like, you didn't fucking apply, dude. Like,
no.
I think Ash is just gonna reach out and be like, yo, you wanna come on?
Hey, I heard you got your cousin on.
Yo, we got your cousin.
That's
you
cool.
could have done a blood versus water type season. We did a couple of those. Those were fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
have people in your life.
Did. That was we
did one of those.
That was Bert's
okay.
second one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a little weird. It was not exactly what we anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was 36 contestants.
Oh, that's a lot.
And don't get us wrong, we really like the guy that runs it. Their Ash, their guy, their Ash, whatever, their Jeff Probst, whatever. He's really fucking cool, but I don't think he was expecting this type of turnout. So what he ended up doing was having like kind of what you did for 30 and 31, but it was like there was 4 tribes and only 2, like you only won against 1 tribe. So there was like 2 games going on at the same time, but you couldn't. You like A and B always interacted, but B and C didn't. But C and D were always together. It was just really weird, and you couldn't talk to your partner really that much. You would only go against each other, and it was not exactly what we wanted. And then we both got fucked in the end, so we were like, okay,
yeah,
okay,
doing that. But yeah, no, I'm definitely interested in doing another blood versus water, but I have a new partner.
With a new perspective. Oh, new partner. Yeah, that would probably help too.
Yeah, I found a new cousin. So Ash, want to do blood versus
Hold on,
water?
are you guys cousins in real life?
Yes.
I actually should know this, but okay, that's cool. Yeah, because we were all about like having real life relationships. We didn't want people who like played an org together and wanted to just come on as blood versus water, but we wanted like people who would bring their wives or spouses, their like people who, especially people who didn't like have somebody who played orgs but wanted to introduce somebody like out in your life to orgs. So we had a lot of like newbies to orgs, and it was really cool because some of these siblings or spouses, they ended up doing even better than their org player partner. They found idols and everything. It's just like very fun, and like a fun experience for these new players as well, and for these org players to introduce their partners to this whole life that they have online. Yeah.
So was it you had like actual org players, and then you encouraged them to find like someone they knew? Is that how that worked?
That was the profile for most of the people. We also had Colton and Caleb from The Real Survivor play that season. So that Colton had been so they were when right after Colton was on the show. So in Survivor !series, you have to pick like a rep, right? You play Burger, you played as Sydney Siegel, who's been on the podcast. So Colton and Caleb played themselves.
That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Wow. How'd you get them on the show?
So Colton had been playing the series for a while now. So he was on like the 3rd season and was back a few times, obviously playing as somebody else because he wasn't on the show yet. And that was like years ago. And then, he wanted to come back, and then, so we had him and Caleb as well.
Wow.
Huh.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wonder, could you notice any sort of similarities between how they... I mean, I know it's a totally different game, but like, I guess socially you'd have a pretty similar social profile online as you would in the game, maybe.
I mean, I didn't watch him play in the org. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, or
how he was on the show versus how he was in the org?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a better question for Ash, I think. But
Well, it was many years ago, so I don't remember that well, but yeah. But
I was
Cole
just
was
thinking,
like
that's cool.
third place, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
One of the early seasons.
Yeah, I hit up Sydney when I joined your org.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I was gonna tell her I was representing her in this org. But I quickly realized I probably shouldn't be doing that because she probably doesn't want to fucking associate like us anymore. Like, I don't know, like we're there's nothing that cool about us. So like, yo, I'm being you in this org. But as far as that conversation went, I was like, you know what orgs are? And she's like, no.
Yeah, perfect.
And that's how much we talk about it. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. It was something like, are you familiar with orgs? And she's like, I am not. And I'm like, damn. Gimbal.
That would have been a cool lead.
Yeah. Any conversation I have with her just always backfires. It's like I'm back to middle school dating again and just fucking fumble over my words and trip over my feet and shit like that. So
that's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, she's really cool. She was an awesome guest.
Yeah. I know I loved her on the show. She was great. She was one of my favorites from that season.
She was
cool.
So
refreshing.
She was cool, and she's like, she had that old school villain vibe to her.
Yeah.
I just wish she waited a little bit longer to really had a bigger impact in the game. But I mean, she's the first one to use her shot in the dark out of the entire season. So that was pretty cool. And
imagine if that worked.
That would have been crazy.
It would have
first
been
one.
So
and she was totally robbed by the twist too. I mean, that hourglass twist was the worst twist seen on Survivor.
Yep. We were wondering if that was going to come up in here. So very happy that it didn't. But jumping more into it, Bert, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, you weren't invited. Fuck off.
Oh, you're good. That's just the way it goes. Hey, if me not getting invited and you get placed where you did, I mean, hey, that's fine. Yeah. Still heard plenty of play-by-plays, in the Discords and
just keeping them posted. Like, yo, final 8, final 7, final 6. Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, yeah. Well, you got play-by-play then. You're good.
Oh yeah.
And
all the good stuff.
We were recording a podcast, weren't we, when they were doing the fire making challenge?
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure we were on stream or we were recording a podcast, and I'm just watching me get like second place by fucking 30 minutes or something like that. Like it was atrocious.
Yeah. Darn.
Yeah. I'm just seeing like all these pings of Ash or whoever was running it. It's just like Sydney falls behind by 15 seconds. Now 3 minutes. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Gotta go on play mode.
Hey, but you know what? But for that, I think you did really well, Burger. Like, you really could have won it.
Yeah. Bert had some questions about because I lie a lot. No, I'm kidding. I was the first voted out. Bert, don't know what to tell you, but
yeah, it's just a big
I told Ash to fucking lie too.
I can fact check anything Burger says.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, this is the one season, this is the best season, the best placement he's gotten in any of his orgs so far. I was also thinking about him, like, from sitting in driver's seat, maybe not the driver's seat, the boss seat, being big, the host of the season, you kind of have, like, an eagle-eye view of everything. Like, do you ever see anybody making, ooh, I wouldn't have done that?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Big... Yeah, people choose the wrong
big mistakes.
Fork in the road.
Yeah. No, there were lots. Survivor is just basically like a series of many, many little forks in the roads, and sometimes there are big forks in the road, small forks in the road. Everything is like a decision that impacts somebody else's game in your own, right? So, people make wrong choices all the time, but that's like not really on them, right? There is just like limited information. You don't really know what everyone else is doing. Sometimes you think of like this genius plan, which makes sense to you. And on paper it does, but like you don't know of something else that's happening at the same time, or somebody else is going to do something that would affect the numbers in the vote. So there are a lot of these moments which are like, oh my God, like I can see what's happening, scream. You know, there are players you want to root for, but like, you know, you can't do anything. It's a lot of fun also to have that eagle eye perspective. As for like big mistakes, I don't know. I always feel like most decisions are justifiable some way or the other. It just happens. There's honestly a little bit of luck involved into whether or not a move is correct. And will yield that outcome you want. Too. Exactly, that too, yeah. And there's also like no way to predict how a jury sees different moves. Juries are different. So there's just a whole lot of factors that come into play. When to play an idol, for example, people do that, like misplay idols all the time. And it's honestly difficult because you don't have that information. And having an idol is like, it's immensely stressful. I don't know if you guys have played where you have idols. Knowing when to play an idol is a huge like stress point. I know players who are like, I'd rather not deal with an idol at all. You know, because that's just like an extra element. At least I don't have to worry about whether or not I have to play with this idol or not. I can just like, you know, either I play hard and like campaign hard, and then if I don't, I go home. I think a lot of players would rather have that than have the idol. So, right. Yeah, lots of factors.
Okay. You say you see anything like that from Burger?
Ooh, mistakes. I know. I would say there's. Okay, so final 6, right?
Bring it on, Jeff. What do you got?
I would say everything was pretty much spot on.
Hear that, Bert? Get jealous.
I really don't think you made any significant mistakes. Final 6, you guys fell for the fake idol. So one of the players, Voce, came up, said he had an idol. He had he had one of his old advantages that he tried to pass off as an idol, but it wasn't. It was an expired advantage for something else. And then he told Burger that he had this idol, and they decided to shift the votes off him onto somebody else. Okay. So I know it was like everybody in the viewers lounge was like, oh my God, how did he fall for it? But like, I get it. Also, I thought the counter plan was pretty good. The counter plan may have even been better for your game, Burger, than the actual plan, because you got rid of what we talked about. Somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
I mean, I think the issue, like for Burger, like you were in a great place to win. You just had like these 1 or 2 other people who were like bigger contenders than you at that point and had to go, but they may have left like 1 round too early. So that like having Voce stay another round may have like helped you stay another round too, in a way.
Well, you know? and that's kind of what we talked about. So the thing is, a couple of funny things happened with his fake idol. First, he sent it to me, and I was talking with Voce after it, and he's like, "Yeah, you're not buying it, are you?" And I'm like, "Nah, I mean, it's pretty shitty. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, I ain't falling for it. I mean, I ate that shit up so bad. I totally fell for it so fucking hard." And Voce's like, "Yeah, I tried." So, and then we switched the votes to a different person, got that individual out, and then we go into final 5, and then that's when I'm starting to think like, you know, it's kind of good that Voce stayed around, because now we have an obvious target here in the final 5, because Evie and Leanna disliked, or Evie just disliked Voce, and Voce and Liana didn't like Evie. So then me and Dan, my partner, had to figure out which side we wanted to jump on, and we thought we needed to get Voce out, which turns out to be a very good decision, because Voce ended up winning not just best strategist in our org, but also player of the fucking season. So I think Voce was the clear-cut winner since like episode, or like there was like 10 people left or something. So it was just, there was never really a time to get him out until 6 and 5, and we accidentally made a better move by not getting him out. So
yeah,
fake idol is cool and all, but in the end, it did help us out a little bit more. But yeah, that was a pretty bad blunder in my end, because there was fucking typos in it, and there was like
I know
wording that he said in it that you wouldn't say, and
I would not say.
I'm like, I fell for this pretty damn hard.
Oh boy.
Well, to be fair, he is a graphic artist, so he knows what to do to make it at least look visually real, but for the typing.
I think one of the best parts with Voce though is like, he didn't know it worked until like that whole thing with Dan went down.
I know.
Like the final tribal council, Dan finally spilled the beans that we fell for it. And this was like, I want to say a week or two after it even happened. Like it was pretty old news at this point. And Voce and Ponderosa chat, he's like, holy fuck, it worked. Like, it was that was just a whole crazy moment. And to be fair, it really didn't amount to really anything. It's not like Voce won the season off of it or anything, but it was pretty insane. So I think I told you some of that, Bert. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think a little bit. I remember hearing about him being geeked. Or you telling him that it didn't get you. Yeah, I remember that. It's too funny.
So it kind of, I mean, it did. I think the thing that really sealed the deal for me on thinking it was real is the advantage was one where he could swap the teams early on. So like a few episodes ago, we were split into two tribes, and his advantage was he could switch up the teams if he wanted to. But that did say on that parchment, which he photoshopped the shit out of, Bert, you'd be excited. But it said, if you don't switch the teams, then this turns into an idol that you can use on every other, like whatever it was. Wow. So I was like, I guess it makes sense, because he was supposed to switch the tribes. Like that's what he told us he was going to do. If certain people were on certain teams, he would have switched it up, but he didn't. And we were like, why didn't he switch it up? And so he had a fucking good bullshit story. Yeah, he had a really good bullshit story. Okay. So.
Yeah. Although I will say that the hole in that story is that, the new tribes would last only one round, right? Why wouldn't you just take the idol and then play it at that round? That would be better than switching the tribes.
Yeah. I like I said, dude, it's like my third org. Okay, I'm sorry. I did my best. So and another thing is like mine was, and I talked about this in my player intro or whatever, is like my big thing in orgs is the social aspect of it. Yeah. I knew my strengths were building relationships and communicating and kind of forming tight bonds. I never said I was a strategist by any fucking means. So like, I'm not a challenge beast. I'm not a strategist or anything like that. But one thing I can do is form pretty good bonds with people. So and I ended up doing that with a couple of folks. And I think if I just had a little bit more of that brain cell of strategy, it could have gotten a little bit further. But I also think a lot of that strategy, and you'll probably agree with this, Ash, comes from just experience, right? From either being in other orgs or watching or Survivor, being a hardcore fan of it.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, people who play orgs, it's either hit or miss if they get on the real show, right? They either do really well, they're like really good strategists. I think an example is George from Australian Survivor, who used to be on some of the forums I posted on. I'm not sure if we've ever played an org together, but I've definitely come across him. So he's like really big on strategy. He's done really well on the show. But you also get like lots of org players who don't do that well in the real show because it's just different to translate that onto the real show. Yeah. Also, back to the idol burger. I feel like one of the reasons was you fell for it was you already thought that he had an idol, so it was just like confirmation bias at that point.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a thing that Dan and I talked about, but also like Dan and I talked about everybody possibly having an idol, so it wasn't like specific just to Voce there, but he sent me a picture, like, and I didn't even think twice about it. Like when I literally told Voce, and I'm like, well, you had me, but you did take a while to send it. So, and he's like, yeah, I figured you were thought that. And I did think that, and it still didn't fucking mean anything. So I'm like, okay, I'm just an idiot through and through. So, but yeah, no, I think that was a big thing too, and it was just a variety of factors at that point.
How do you feel about winning villain of the season? We just did awards yesterday, so
yeah. So they did awards for this org last night, and your daddy got a couple of them. I got Best Alliance with Dan, and I got Podium for LOL moments, which is literally what it was called, LOL. The things that made us go LOL or something. It was cute. Did I send you those?
Yeah, funniest moment. Yeah,
I don't remember. I know you sent me some stuff, but I don't think that
he's here in the first time. Yeah, this happened last night, literally yesterday. Okay. And then I also won Villain of the Season, Bert.
Yep, I remember seeing that one.
Yeah.
Yep. That's cool.
And also, strangely, runner-up for Mr. Congeniality.
Yeah, I didn't know what the fuck that meant. I had no idea what that meant. Yeah, maybe it's my fucking Southern roots and I'm just dumb as hell, but I'm like, I don't know what this means. I don't. So I had to ask Dan and Voce, and then they told me. I'm like, how is that possible? How do you win
villain of
the season?
Beats me.
Which is, when they explained it to me, it was like the easiest to talk to or something like that. Is that what that means?
Well, Miss Congeniality is like the award with, like, you know, when you have beauty pageants and there's always like the nicest like contestant who doesn't win the prize, but yeah.
So what do you think of that, Bert? Yeah, I was running around for that. Yeah, I know. I was fuck. That just shows you how good of a bullshitter I was.
You did say you're trying pretty hard this season to be nice, like to hide that.
Yeah, like that was my thing. Like another thing was like of how much under the radar I was trying to be as well. So like people were absolutely blown away that they were like just blown away that I was tight with Dan. I'm like, what the fuck, guys? Like we were in Lulu together. Like what the fuck did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I kind of thought it was like a what's the word? Like a bitter person or a preppy, fucking bitchy kind of person. That's what I thought it meant. So I'm like, that
would
go
good with villain.
Yeah. I'm like, that works perfect with villain. So,
oh gosh.
But like I was going out of my way to be like this. Because when I did my first org, I was very much myself, and that came back and backfired pretty hard. People either really liked me or they fucking hated me. Like I won biggest rivalry in my first org because I just fucking start calling people out. Then I realized you can't really do that in orgs because people can't pick up on sarcasm and stuff too well. So I started acting like the person that they like or they want you to be like, and then that's kind of where I think that Miss Kennedy, I can't even fucking say it, the fucking Princess Award that I almost won was just because I actually engage with people, because in real life, and Bert knows this, I'm a realist. Believe it or not, I'm kind of an asshole. So in real life, if I'm talking to somebody and I know it's not going to be like a real relationship, if I know they're just talking to me just to talk and not be weird and, oh, wow, the fucking weather we're having today, man, ain't this something? Like this bullshit stuff. I'm like, yeah, leave me alone. So like I would do that in orgs. I'm like, all right, let's cut the small talk. I don't really fucking care where you're from. Who do we want to vote out? Yeah, people don't like that, Ash. Believe it or not, people fucking hate that.
Yeah.
So that's how I wanted to play. Like I got so much shit for wanting to play.
Honestly,
like,
some people like that. Some people like that. Some people like it to the point.
Mm-hmm.
It really depends on what your personality is. So you just kind of have to match that with the other person.
And I think that's how I got further in that org, was because I did find some people that like that, but most of the people are like, yo, this fucking kid needs to chill. Like they're sitting here talking about all this shit, like, oh, my fucking went and got milk today and I slipped, haha, and everyone's like, OMG, sending skulls. I'm like, what the fuck?
That sounds like most org conversations, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. And I didn't know this, so I'm like going in and all of these people are talking about their grocery store trips and how they're eating Taco Bell, and I'm like, I came to play Survivor. I don't care about this. If you're not going to be an alliance member with me, fuck off. Like I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone. And that bit me in the ass hard. So then in this org, I'm like, yo guys, I just got some fucking milk or whatever.
It worked. It worked.
And everyone's like, yo shit, what kind was it? I'm like, I want to be like, why do you fucking care? You're not going to have any of it. You're not even in the same country as me.
Can you backspace it? 2%.
Yeah. 2%. Like, oh wow, no fucking Team Vitamin D or whatever it is. I'm like, oh shit. So with this org, like I really played into what people wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And it was just funny because then I get to Ponderosa, and that was my favorite moment. When I got to Ponderosa, I'm out of the game, right? Like I lost in fire making. I'm a jury member now. There's no bars being held back now. I'm like, I take off my gloves and I'm like, all right, Kelly, shut the fuck up, okay? Because you were non-existent for most of this goddamn season, okay? You too, Buster. I don't fucking like your attitude right now. And everyone's like, yo, what the fuck? Where was this during the season? And I'm like, I bullshitted.
I was playing the game.
Yeah, I was playing the game, motherfuckers. Leave me alone.
You have to.
So, I mean, I just started calling people out, and then people were fucking loving it or hating it, one or the other. And that was a lot of fun to let like my true colors out. And then when we got mixed back in with the specs and all of that, and I started calling out the fucking specs too. I'm like, you shut the fuck up. You weren't even there or something like that. So, I mean,
ladies and gentlemen, villain of the season.
Yeah. So this is kind of where the villain came from.
Yeah.
But you brought up a good point too in the spec chat that you thought the runner-up was played more of a villainous role
in terms of game moves. Absolutely, yeah. Like she spent the whole pre-merge basically just lying about shit and just like throwing people under the bus and like lying about people having advantages, lying about like all sorts of weird like it was just like a lot of gameplay all put into pre-merge, and it was just, pretty villainous in my point of view.
Yeah, and I didn't have anything like that. I don't think I had a single move where, I mean, I know I wasn't 100% truthful with people, but I wasn't like going off of a lie except to Voce when I'm like, yeah, I didn't fall for it. Your idol sucked, bro. That was a terrible idol. But I do think most of that villainous thing came from the final tribal council. That's where I'm going to assume most of it came from. When Dan and I kind of had our little falling out there. Would you say that's probably where that villainous thing came from, or do you think it was more the shit talking? What do you think, Jeff?
I think it was that. I think it was the Dan final tribal council thing. I think people usually, when they vote, they remember the more recent things. That was the most recent thing in the game, so that obviously probably was on their mind. Yeah, I actually think that Elizabeth might have won if you hadn't had that final tribal council exchange with Dan.
Then I'm happy for everything that happened. Yeah, and then This is literally beating a dead horse. I've already addressed this so many times. Like, I can't imagine what real people do. Like that Eric guy that gave up his fucking immunity idol in 16 or whatever. Like,
oh my Lord.
Gosh, like I can't even imagine what he goes through. But
I know. It's like people are still continuing to watch this. Like, it's still coming up, like in this podcast right now.
Yeah.
And so
well, it comes up in New York too. Like when we were doing awards last night, I've literally got a fucking award for it. I'm like, can this fucking go away? God damn. But you know, you sign up for these moments, so it's totally fine. But to do a very dumbed down version of what happened, Dan and I we literally won Alliance of the season. Him and I were tight. We voted together. We worked together. We did everything together. We voice chatted for hours every day. We were really tight. People called us besties. I never thought we were besties. I knew we were good Alliance members though. And like, he's a really cool guy, but in real life, Dan and I are pretty different. Honestly, I talked to Voce a lot more. Voce and I literally played Roblox yesterday. Ash, I don't know if you knew that, but we're Voce's more my type of personality of peeps that I hang out with. So Dan was never my bestie. He's definitely a friend, but he's not my cousin like Bert here. So let's be careful. Anyways, Dan and I went against each other in the final 4. The winner goes to final 3. Dan kicked my fucking ass, which I knew he would. And he goes to the final 3. I'm the last member of the jury. Then, in typical Survivor fashion, the jury members ask the final 3 questions, and you kind of get information from them on who you're going to vote for. Make sense, Bert?
Yeah.
Bert's fucking honking and shooing.
Oh,
Bert's playing Tetris.
Fucking Thomas. Oh God.
So for some reason, people just assumed I was automatically going to continue to support Dan. In this situation, like, oh, he's my friend, so I'm just automatically going to vote for him. Bert knows me pretty well. That's not how Burger works.
No.
Like, when we did the Blood versus Water season, Ash, I was going to fucking vote Bert out.
Every week he's
like, mark my fucking words. I was going to stab this fucker in the back the second I could. I was hoping Bert would make the merge so I could vote him out. Well, but no, it's just like, to me, the game's over. Now I'm a jury member, and I'm going to vote for who I think played the best. The relationships beforehand, I don't really fucking care. That's not how I think you should vote. I think you should vote for the best player. That's how Survivor should work. So then Dan's doing good. Dan's doing great. He's answering these questions. Then I start see him take a little bit more credit than I thought he deserved. Where he was the mastermind behind this move or that move. And I'm like, well, hang on, Dan. I mean, we both talked about that for 45 fucking minutes. Let's not get too cocky here. And then the big moment was when he brought up the final 6 vote. He's like, I was 100% responsible for that, and you can't deny it. And then at this point, Ash, as I told you in your show, I'm standing there with my little wiener in my hand, actually peeing at a urinal at a gas station.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yep.
It's a picture that's hard to get out of your mind.
Yep. Yeah, just a burger, just pissing at a urinal, with a profile picture of Sidney Siegel. I'm standing there, and I basically said, now, Dan, we both know what actually went down there. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. That's when people were like, well, what happened? And Dan's like, there's some stuff that me and Sydney only know about. And they're like, well, what was it? What was it? What was it? And I'm like, Dan, don't tell him. If you do, I'm not voting for you. Again, wiener in hand, pissing in urinal, not really thinking this was that big of a fucking statement. Dan backed off and he said, okay. And everyone just lost their respect for Dan at that point. They were like, oh, okay, he's still Sydney's pawn. Fuck Dan. And that Sydney tanked his game and all of this shit. And I'm like, guys, I was pissing. I don't like to talk about my private life like that. You know, I'm a pretty tight person. My name's fucking Burger on the internet, for fuck's sake. But it's relevant. Cock in hand, and I was pissing at a gas station, and you're going to tell me that I win villain of the season over that. I'll take it. Yeah. I think Sydney would be proud.
Yeah.
So what was kind of your perspective? Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm fucking uninstalling this. But what was your kind of perspective as the host as that went down? Because I know you guys said you were fucking blown away that it went down the way that it did, because no duo has really acted like that before in your previous orgs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a right way or wrong way to be a juror. So that's, yeah. And honestly, I think you were right to call him out if he was taking credit that he shouldn't have taken. I do think Final Tribal Council is like, it's time to be like honest about your moves and use that to justify why you should win. It shouldn't be based on like overselling your game, right? And I totally understand why you would say, look, this is not what happened. This is what happened, right? So I think that's perfectly fair. I don't know. I don't know why there was like such a big reaction to it. I think it was partially also like the jury reacting a lot more to it than maybe they should have.
That's what I thought.
Did you feel that way? Yeah?
Yeah, and I only think it was like 2, maybe 3 jury members were really freaking out about it, because everybody else is pretty unfazed by it. Like, no one really gave a shit about it.
Except, I know, and like, I think it was the right, exactly. And I think it was the reactions to it that like called a lot more attention to it, and then you start like reading everything you say in a different like tone or light. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions that I think you asked me on your pod, is like, or the other individual that runs it with you, is like, do you feel like you did affect his game? And as I said in your podcast, yeah, I feel like I impacted it, but I think every jury member impacts everybody's game out there.
Your job.
And
you earned the seat. You got a voice.
So I did shit on him a little bit more than I wanted to, but he also didn't do it the way I thought he should either. And Dan's big thing was, because him and I have talked and we've kissed and made up, obviously through voice chat, which is Ash's favorite fucking thing. But his big thing was, we talked about how we agreed it was no bars back. We were going to fucking go crazy and say whatever we had to say and kiss and make up after the season was over. And that was true. We did agree on that, but that was in 1, telling Evie to take us to the final with them. And 2, if we made it to the final 3, that's how we would do it. We never talked about what we would do if the other one was on the jury.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So we never talked about that. And then that's honestly where Dan came and apologized to me. He's like, I shouldn't have assumed that then. I apologize. I also apologized to him too. So we're good. Like, we really are good. Dan's a friend of mine. But it got blown up a little bit more than I thought it should have.
Yeah, honestly, Dan's chances were not strong going into it. If anything, you going into Ponderosa was like the one glimmer of hope that Dan had. And I remember when you went into Ponderosa or the jury villa for when you just went in and you revealed that you and Dan had like a really close relationship, which somehow blew everybody away. I think that was when people like started realizing, okay, Dan's playing more of a game than they thought. But then I think once Final Tribal Council started and then Evie and Liana had the chance to advocate for their games, I think, again, they decided that, they didn't want to vote for Dan. I don't think it changed very much.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was too, and it got a little ugly. And then at the end of the day, I kept saying this, I'm like, guys, if one jury member says a couple of things and now all of a sudden he's not getting any votes, I don't really think he had a lot to stand on, to be honest. Like,
it's not a great look.
Yeah, you got to have a better resume than that. And I do think they didn't give him much of a chance for some reason. With that, so again, I'm not shit talking or anything, but I'm like, I think a lot of the blame went towards me or Sydney in that situation. And I was like, I mean, Dan could have had a better resume too. I mean, it's just like Russell Hantz kind of thing. It's just like, oh, you fucked yourself over by those comments. No, I mean, if one comment switches your brain, your mind that much, then.
Well, look, I guess for the viewers, it's kind of like a TV show, right? I mean, you have all these moments and you react to them like as if you're watching TV. So there's not a lot of time for you to like go into the mindset of people who are actually playing the game and thinking about these moves. It's all just entertainment at this point, right?
Yeah.
And you'll be on the viewers lounge next season, so you can do that too.
I'll be there. And to just kind of wrap up your question, like, how do I feel about being villain of the season? I almost got villain of the season my first org too. Barely missed that. No surprise. But my favorite contestant of all time is Russell. So he's kind of a piece of fucking garbage now. Don't get me wrong. I used to really like him, but
no, he was really good when like the first couple of times he was on. I think his reputation has gotten like preceded him.
He needs to get off Twitter.
So he's not going to be able to. Yeah, and that too. Yes, he's awful on Twitter.
We talked about this on a podcast before, but I've talked to him on the phone for like an hour. The real Russell.
Okay.
It was pretty dope.
Okay.
And he's not the best human being at the moment. So and I said in my interview before I got casted that I want to remove myself from the real world and play this game in a way I wouldn't normally do it. I want to play as somebody that can lie and backstab and cheat and steal and all that, because I don't do that in my real life.
Yeah.
I try to live as pure of a life as I can. And I think in this game, this gives us a chance to you don't have to do that, because at the end, none of it matters. First of all, it's a game. Second of all, it's a fucking org on Discord. It's not like a real show or anything like that. And third of all, it's just for fun. So if I had an opportunity to do that, why wouldn't you try to be someone you're not instead of your normal everyday self with that? So it feels good to be villain of the season. I'll have to see if I can put on a different personality and see if I can get hero of the season somewhere else.
Yeah, there you go.
Good luck with that. Has either of you applied for the real show?
Oh yeah, Bert has like 1,000 times.
Oh, millions. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even begin to count how many times, and Jeff hasn't fucking called me yet, and it's really hurting my feelings.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, I'm not American, so I can't.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But, well, I think people have been born in other countries, but they've like immigrated to the U.S. or something like that.
I think you have to be a citizen. It does say that in caps on the Survivor application website.
Just lie.
So
there you go.
Are you Canadian?
No, I'm not Canadian.
Darn. They opened it up.
You have to be Survivor. I mean, American or Canadian. Yeah. I wonder if anyone's lied and just said, I thought you could lie on Survivor.
Yeah. I 100% would. But I've done it. I've applied a lot, and I also we've had Coach on our podcast too. And he's actually watched one of my audition tapes.
Oh, okay. Do you have any feedback for you?
Yeah, no, he told me how fucking terrible it was. I was talking to Voce about this, so I sent it over to Coach, and he says, got it. And I said, awesome. Any feedback would be appreciated. And he says, oh, I've got feedback. And I'm like, lay it on me. He says, first of all, I'm going to rip it to shreds. And I'm like, cool.
Okay.
Number 1, same spot the whole time. Number 2, hunched over the camera. 3, who are you? What do you do? Not just where you grew up. For example, this is Coach Wade, and I'm a university soccer coach. Immediately there, I'm on the soccer field. Example, if you are a bum living at your parents' house, show you on the couch eating chips.
Those are good tips. Thank you, Coach.
And I said, fuck off, Coach. You're never allowed back on my podcast ever again. No, so I sent him some ass-kissing response. He told me each scene should be 30 seconds, but you've got to really show and not just talk about who you are. That's the last message.
Okay.
I've got from
Fair enough. That sounds good.
Yeah, pretty stereotypical advice. I was hoping he'd be like, yo, okay, so lose some weight. You're really fat. And lower your earlobes. They're kind of high. And have gum in your mouth when you talk, because then you look more like a cool kid or something. Like, that's what I was hoping
for. Yeah.
So
that would have been crazy.
Yeah, I would have been like, thanks, Coach. I'll do what you say. Another thing too, Ash, is I'll get a call on a phone and it'll say Los Angeles, California. I'm like, yo, holy shit, it's Jeff.
It's Jeff.
It's fucking Jeff.
Yo.
So then I excuse myself from my work. I go outside and I said, hello, Bert and Burger. And they're like, your car warranty's expired. Would you like to renew it? And I'm like, fuck. And now that I've answered the phone, they're going to keep calling. So now I got LA call me all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna answer it, and it's gonna be Jeff, and I'm like, fuck you.
Not again. Not interested.
Not interested. Quit calling me.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Lose
that'd
this
be so
number,
bad.
freak.
Lose this number. I'm not interested in whatever it is you're offering. Fuck.
Yeah.
So
what the hell?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm kind of just hoping I get the old man now thing where I'm like,
oh,
the next
true,
or something where I'm like 57 on there.
Oh, fuck yeah.
They're like, you got a better chance if you're older, because a lot of young people apply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, enough about me. I do want to just ask you a couple of things outside of the org, Ash, and then we'll wrap it up here. So, outside of the Survivor org, when did you decide to start doing like Big Brother, The Mole, Reindeer Games, all the other stuff?
Yeah, I started as a Survivor. I did like 4 or 5 Survivor seasons before I, wanted to do Big Brother. I also watched Big Brother. I watched The Mole, which I don't know if either of you watches that. It's like a show where there was like a recent revival on Netflix. It's like 14 people.
Looks cool.
Travel around and they do tasks, and one of them is like a secret agent who's like sabotaging them. So it's very different from Survivor. You're just trying to figure out who the mole is, who's sabotaging the team. That's
another show
like
you won't watch.
One of the really popular ones.
So cool.
Yeah, for people who don't like socializing as much, it doesn't require that much socializing. It's a lot of observation, figuring out who's sabotaging, figuring out if you want to sabotage a little bit yourself to draw some suspicion onto yourself. And there's also the Traders, which is something similar, but there's voting involved, so it's a little bit more social than the Mole is. So there are all these games. Whenever I see a show I like, I get inspired to do it and try to do it on an org format.
And it's got to be reality too, right? You're not gonna be like, yo, I'm gonna make a Breaking Bad org, but not like reality, just straight up like
scripted.
Yeah,
there has to be like a game format for you to play, right?
Yeah.
There has to be a game format.
That'd be dope.
But I've done a couple of them where it's like based on a board game. There was this board game called Betrayal on House on the Hill that I really liked. So I modified that into like an org type format with like 10 players.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So we are very interested in starting up our own org. And we really, I don't know. It's one of those things that we want to use to make a community, because first of all, you got a hell of a community over there in your org.
Yeah.
And that is so cool. And we would love to be able to do something like that, as well as give an opportunity to have the podcast grow and everything like that. So we really would like to start an org off that is themed off of this podcast. So season 1 is literally going to be about our podcast. So what kind of advice or tips or tricks would you have and with starting your own org? He's going to be like, don't. That's a shitty idea. That sounds fucking dumb.
Well, my first tip would be to work on the concept a little bit more, because I have no idea what this is going to be about. Second, I think keep it simple. Like, people like simple.
Sure.
I do see a lot of orgs out there that try to do a lot, and there's like a lot of gimmicks, a lot of twists. Like, it shouldn't be too complicated. Yeah.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, those are my 2 tips. You can really make anything an org. It just has to have like an attractive concept about it.
Well, let me tell you this. We are able to finance this org a little bit through the podcast and social media. So we do have some financials that we can put in place. So I don't really fucking think people really give a shit what the concept is. As soon as they hear there's $1 you can win, they're like, I'm in. So
there are a lot of orgs that offer cash prizes, like Amazon voucher, Discord Nitro. Yeah, but I know since the pandemic, it's been harder to get people to play orgs. I think like during the pandemic, it was like you get tons of applications and way too many applications for like, it becomes really hard to even shortlist. But for Survivor 41, for example, it was a little harder to get like enough applications to have a good like cast that you felt strongly about.
Yeah. So I do think starting off, we'll have to have more of a enticement, I guess, to have people apply. So that's why we want to do some kind of cash incentive with that. But then once you get enough people in there, it just kind of starts feeling for themselves, or specs want to play and things like that. So we do got a handful of mods on the team that are ready to go. One of them is Voce, actually. So he said that he's down to help run it. So hopefully it turns out, man. We're pretty excited for it. So so you don't have to say anything you're not comfortable with, but what do you kind of do outside of the org world and all of that stuff? I mean, these things got to take up a lot of your time. So I'm kind of curious what you do outside of this.
Org. So I'm a lawyer.
He's going to be like, watch Survivor, watch Big Brother.
I wish I did all that, but I do have like a pretty intense job. I'm a lawyer. So
wow.
Holy
shit.
So, but cool. People always like think that hosting these orgs takes a lot of time. It does take time, but it's probably not as much as people think.
Well, Bert's gonna wish you didn't say that. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking give him so. I don't have enough time for this. Yeah, well, a fucking lawyer does. So,
I think it's different when you have like you've done this for 20 years and you know exactly what you're doing.
Oh, you gotta down,
If you're new to it, it's going to take a lot more time. But now it's like kind of second nature. I know exactly, like with every new season, it's like marooning. Okay, there's a task list. Here you go, and like outsource this to like a team of 10 people. And then there are people creating channels, people who are like assigning the roles on Discord. Sometimes I have people to help with graphics, but I do that mostly on my own now.
Wow.
And just like having a general sense of like what challenges I've done like all these challenges for the past 20 years. You have a whole like database of them to pull from. It's just a lot easier once you have that whole machinery running.
Damn.
And you know what to do. Yeah.
Damn, a lawyer.
Wow.
We're still on that.
Wow. I'm just amazed. You're not the first lawyer.
I don't know why there's such a like thing about lawyers. Even on the show, like it's just a job. It's not a big deal.
I suppose.
True.
I mean, I was a fucking custodian for a little bit, so you don't got no room to talk like it's just a job. Okay, so.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Matthew McConaughey, fucking Lincoln lawyer guy. Anyways, no, that's so cool. But yeah, Sydney Siegel's also a lawyer too. So
yes, that's why I was rooting for her the first time. Yeah. I mean, on her season.
Yeah. So and this last one, dude, had like fucking 12 lawyers on it or some shit like that.
I know most of them who were lying about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm a lawyer. You're a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. I'm like, hey, this is. I survive lawyer now. I'm over it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's cool. Well, anyways, thank you so much, Ash, for stopping by and chatting with us about orgs. Do you want to plug some of your stuff, man?
Sure, yeah, why not? I'm hosting the Mole soon. I feel like there was a little bit of interest from Bert, if I picked that up correctly. But if anybody else is interested, we are doing season 12 of the Mole. It's always a lot of fun. It's one of our most popular ones. Lots of alumni want to come back, but I try to keep the cast just new people because alumni know what to do. Well, like I said, the Mole is 14 people. One of the players is really a secret double agent selected by production to sabotage the team. The team competes in all these different missions that involve coordination, puzzles, escape rooms, all that stuff. The objective is to win as much money for the pot as possible so that they cross like a minimum threshold at the end of the season. Otherwise, the Mole wins. And then every round, players take a quiz as to who the mole is, what the mole did, and somebody's executed each round. So if that appeals to you, you might want to check out Mole on Netflix and also apply to the Mole 12 on the exclamation point series. That's it for me.
And they're going to keep running future seasons too. So if you want to join a different one, if the Mole's not your type of style, they got Big Brother, they got The Next Survivor. They got a bunch of them coming out. So we will make sure that we drop all of Ash's information down in the description below. So other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming on, Ash, and thank you everybody else for listening to this episode of the Burger podcast. We're just trying to bring a little bit of the family element to the podcast world. And don't you forget, it's comedy at the end of the day. Please calm down.
Ooh, have some fun.
Have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.